Hello, beautiful people. Today I have a topic about working with feedback, giving, receiving feedback. And if you are like me, a couple of years ago, turning green, hearing about this topic, uh, check it out. I will be talking about what changed in 20 years from my perspective. What's the difference between small company versus big company or corporate, and also how this can change whether you are on an IC role or a manager role. So let's say giving feedback top or down. So let's get to it. First, what has changed in my opinion in those 20 years I was working in IT, let's say, beginning as a front-end developer, later being graphic designer, web designer, switching to a product designer and UX designer. The first 10 years for me were basically agencies, a couple of dozens people in a company. And in those days, nobody gave a damn about giving and receiving feedback. It was kind of natural. So it was really depending on the character of those people you were working with. And I was kind of used to be the guy to do anything at the beginning. I was just listening and watching people how they do it because they are more experienced. And when somebody gave feedback to me, it was totally understandable, like they are more experienced, senior, older, whatever, and I wasn't giving feedback back to them at all. But let's say the last 10 years of my experience in big tech companies, that was another chapter. Overall, I would say the situation in company, the culture, the feedback giving, setting up goals, and all those things, that is something very usual today. If the company is from, I don't know, nearly 100 or hundreds of employees, it's just a very common thing to do at least one time per year, but usually more often. So the difference between small and big, like in small company, a startup, a couple of dozens people, you probably work together pretty well, and there is no official time to give or receive feedback. You just do it, and that's it. When it's in a bigger company, it's a process. You are doing it quarterly, or once in a year there is the big review of your goals, which could possibly influence your progression in the company or a salary raise and things like that. In big companies slash corporates, I would say it's political correctness first, unfortunately, but kind of understandably. We are working in big companies with all the possible cultures, so we need to take care how we talk to people. And as you know, once in a year you need to do all those trainings regarding safety in work, also with how to talk to people, what is considered harassment, etc., etc. In big companies, you can't make people around you uncomfortable talking to you. So if you have this experience, you need to work on it. In case you are this superhero in your field, you are skilled, you are just great. In case you are this great expert in your company, and everything you do is great, very valuable to the company. Even with that, you can't treat other people so they feel bad. Otherwise, sooner or later, you are effed. That's how it is. And then I would say two types of different situations. You are either giving or receiving feedback to a colleague, to your peer, or to your manager typically. When it's with your peer, ideally you don't need to plan those occasions. You just talk in the kitchen, by the desk of your table, or online today. Only in situations when you've tried to improve your cooperation with a colleague and it doesn't work, it's worth taking a time and talk about it, definitely. With your manager, you are doing it on weekly basis, one-on-ones, and quarterly or half a year or once in a year there is this big review, setting up your goals, how you grow, etc. And it shouldn't be just that the manager is giving feedback to you. You should be able to give feedback to your manager how you are satisfied with this cooperation. Unfortunately, from my experience, this could be tricky. Some managers just don't care about that and they're just giving feedback. Some managers are more open and they are also receiving feedback. But the question is what it's gonna do with them or with your relationship. So definitely some carefulness is advised, and you should get to know the colleague or the manager, like basically know your audience before you discuss anything, because you need to think about yourself in the first place, like, will this conversation harm me or will it open some doors for me on the other hand. So with giving and receiving feedback, I would say you have you can look at it from various kind of fields, like this is just work for you, that's it. You have all your friends, hobbies or whatever outside of work, and you are just focusing on work, so you are keeping it to yourself. You are mostly listening, but you definitely need to care about those conversations and engage when it's regarding your performance, your impact, or your possible growth in the company, obviously. Another type could be like the same as the first one, but you have a couple of colleagues / friends you are able to talk with about different kind of stuff which bothers you, which is a pain. If it's I don't know, some damn project, or if it's some colleague or a manager who's making you trouble. It could be, I would say, like sharing with your friends in a company that can help you physically, mentally to cope with some problems you think they are unsolvable, let's say. But definitely think twice what kind of things are you sharing with whom, because it could go back to you in a way you wouldn't like to. The other type is, and that's I would say usually for junior level kind of employees, oversharing in general is not beneficial, I would say, because in a company where there are hundreds of people, you will definitely work with people who will use that information against you. It could be after a couple of months or even years. And when there will be some situation where they think it's beneficial to mention that you said A, B, C, it could really hurt your progress in the company. Another type of sharing, let's say, could be challenging the status quo. Challenge the status quo or the best idea wins are one of those cliches you are hearing in corporate. And it seems they really encourage you to do that, and I definitely think it is valuable to challenge the status quo. But if in some longer period of time, months or years, You are basically pointing out some problems most of the time. Nobody wants to hear it afterwards, because especially if that's the situation is kind of unsolvable. Everybody knows like we have these problems, but I don't know, it could be people sitting on different positions who are not allowing you to solve that. Sharing too much, challenging some problems will only harm you. Another thing could be what changed for me in those 20 years. Like 10 to 20 years back, I didn't have to think about how am I speaking to somebody, because the cultures were much more open and much more harsh, I would say. So giving or receiving a direct feedback about something you didn't do well, for instance, was completely normal. But today, in younger generations, over 20 years old people, they are used to completely different approach, I would say. And they could be very sensitive about receiving feedback from you, especially direct ones. If those people have experiences only from big corporates, they are used to this political correctness way of communicating. And if you would be too direct with those people, it would harm you again, because they wouldn't feel comfortable. They would feel like you wronged them in some way. And if they decide that they will share this feeling with their boss, again, it's not good for you. I've mentioned political correctness a lot of the times, and I would like to be a little bit more specific about the type of roles which are influenced by it, and the type of roles which are pretty safe, I would say. If you are IC, individual contributor, you are very likely to be safe. Most of interactions and receiving feedback is with your manager. Ideally, you have a good manager who is taking care of you. Maybe you are both on the same boat, that you don't care about this corporate BS. I've experienced, for instance, that my boss was helping me writing those goals for me, because after a couple of reviews, I don't know, a year and a half, I was thinking like, okay, I have some goals, but some of those goals are not met from the position of the employer or some managers, I don't know, allowing me to grow in a field which is not directly what I was hired for instance. Despite being promised a couple of times during this goal review period that I will definitely be allowed to do that. So in this case, when you both know it's kind of BS and that's how it works in the company, you can even have a boss who will help you write those. If you are senior or staff or principal, the same thing in my opinion, just different names in different companies. You are definitely on the brink of some politics, because on those staff principal roles, you are not working only in one team, you are usually cross-functional. And the most important thing is creating good relationships and knowing your audience. You are kind of selling some way how to work or what to put on roadmaps, or sometimes you can be invited to some strategy plannings. And in those situations, it is a little bit about politics. If you are a manager, it's always about politics, unfortunately. As a manager, you are working with leverages. I help you, you help me. Who helped me, I will help him. etc. Also in the negative way. In generally, as a manager or in manager roles or leadership roles, the politics are there all the time. You need to find your friends, let's say, or colleagues you can count on that they will support what you want, and they're expecting the same from you when it's their time, so they can collect this depth from you. Politics is also important or inevitable, I would say, for your personal growth, for changing the career within a company, for stepping out from IC role to a manager role, for instance. You need to establish those alliances, and you need to be comfortable with doing that in the first place. Like, if you don't, and you are working in a corporate and you don't want to be the one saying this kind of politics and BS, stay on the IC role. And in the end, I would say, if you have problems with corporate BS or politics, don't work in a corporate. It will drain you sooner or later, and you will burn out. I'm speaking from my personal experience, even though I've always stepped back to a similar role up to this point. That's it. Basically, if you don't like corporate BS, if you don't like politics, don't work in a corporate. Stay true.